So this is another one of my favorites here. We have another Grand Cherokee. This one is a '05, just like the other one, except for this one had a problem with spitting rockers out. Now a lot of these 3.7s, 4.7s, this was a problem that these had. They would spit rockers. A lot of the time it would be when it was super cold out. They would spit them out more than when it was warm because the lifters would bleed down a little bit, over time they wear out. And then it's cold, so the oil is cold, so it takes a while for it to pump up. A lot of people think that, oh yeah, I gotta run 2050 in it. Yeah, better than that thin old 020. It's like, well, there's a difference between kinematic viscosity and lubricity, because a 020, for example, pumps a lot easier than 2050. I mean, think about it. If you have a old tube of honey that's all thick, what happens when you put it in the microwave? It gets thinner, right? And which is easier to pour out of the container, the thinner stuff or the thicker stuff? Now, the lubricity doesn't have anything to do with how thick the oil is. What you want is a active supply of fresh oil. So it's better to have 020 that you can pump from the bottom of the sump to the top of the engine quickly than a thicker oil that's, I don't know, it's just a really common oversight. So this particular one, which I've been waiting a long time to get one of these so I can make a video of it. This is the tensioner. So see, we have the cover taken off, and right tensioner's here, left tensioner's there. So what happens is you'll get one of these, and it's usually the back rocker for some reason. It'll spit it out, and it'll just be hanging out down in there. So you'll go, oh, okay, well, pull the valve cover, stick that rocker back in, it's fine. And you'll be running it, and sometimes it'll spit out another one, or you'll hear a knock, like a real heavy, like somebody's taking a wrench and beating on this plastic, like a thud, kind of a knock. And you're like, well, oh crap, what is that? It sounds like a spun rod or, a wrist pin or something, but it'll only do it every once in a while. So these tensioners, the inside here, I don't know if we're going to be able to see that, but way down inside there's a screen. That screen's supposed to sit right here on the outside. And that filters the incoming oil, kind of keeps the big chunks out of it. So what happens is, ooh, see? See how spongy this is? Now, ideally, if there was oil in there, I shouldn't be able to do this with my fingers. I should have to push this in the vise to push this in. See, now we're pumping a little bit out. So what happens is that little screen inside there gets dislodged and pushed in there into that receiving orifice, so that this tensioner can't get oil. Now, if the tensioner can't get oil, the chain guide here on the bottom slaps around, and it will gain, it's kind of like a bowstring or something. It'll get vibrations in it, and this thing will start jumping around inside here, and this tensioner will start jumping around. And that smack that you're hearing is actually this down here, where the chain guide actually sits on the tensioner. That's what that smack is. Sometimes you'll get them bad enough to where they'll pump all the way back down, and you can actually get these things where they'll round off the teeth on the sprockets because of how loose the chain is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to throw some tensioners in there, which I already got, and then we're going to clean this sucker up and stick it back together. And we're going to stick this rocker back in. I'm going to pull the lifter out and just make sure, what you want to do is come in here and look to make sure there's no obvious pieces missing or anything embedded in here. But yeah, so this guy, this little ratchet thing here, when you put these in the vise, you're supposed to put a pick in here and it'll release this. Well, I can't do it with one hand, but this gets pushed all the way in, and then this little foot holds it. And what you get is these little tiny grenade pins that sit inside here and hold these. So here's the other one. See, this is the same kind of deal. Now the screen on these ones is underneath this plate. I usually don't break them. I guess you can't see it. It's underneath the plate. Don't mess with those. Just replace them and put it back together. Usually that fixes them. I mean, you got to come in here and make sure your guides are in one piece. I usually don't take these apart because you'll be able to see when you get in here. You'll be able to see if these are delaminated or if there's pieces missing or laying around down there. You know, so yeah, there you go. Good old Chrysler 3747.